I'm a speech-language pathologist and an associate professor here on campus, Long Island University. And I'm in the Communication Sciences and Disorders Department, which is the speech and hearing department, and we have graduate and undergraduate students who learn about speech therapy. 6 years ago now, I attended a lecture at our national convention about improv, and it was given by two professors, one from Indiana University and one from Penn State University, and I was hooked. They talked about their programs and how they do. In one case, they do a classroom for people with Down syndrome along with college students, and they teach them social skills. So that's how I got started. I heard that lecture. I invited one of the instructors to come here to Post Campus and give a demonstration. And shortly after that, I started running classes of my own with people who are on the autism spectrum. And I have not only people on the spectrum, but one or two individuals who've suffered from strokes. Aphasia is the result of what happens following brain damage. And depending upon where in the brain the damage occurs, it could make them either fluent or non-fluent. A non-fluent aphasic is a person who generally understands you but has a hard time expressing themselves. Then there are fluent aphasics who suffer brain damage elsewhere in the brain, and for them, expression comes easily, like they can make sentences and they can speak to you, except they don't always make sense. And so they, at times, speak in gibberish or in like non-language utterances. One thing that you can say of people on the spectrum, for example, is that they tend to be very concrete and very like black and white in terms of like what they say, how they express themselves. For example, in improv, you might present a kind of a fantastic scenario like, hey, we're on the surface of the moon. What do you think? We're not on the surface of the moon. What are you talking about? We're in the classroom. And so they can't accept the non-reality of an improv setting. The improvements I've noticed is that they're more accepting of that now, and they will tend to go with it. What they do say about the brain is that there is a certain degree of neurological plasticity, which basically means that if one part of the brain is damaged or is not firing as it should, then when you give treatment of some kind, there's a potential for the brain to rewire. So now connections can be improved, connections can be made. Well, the focus on communication from my discipline of speech-language pathology is that communication is both verbal and nonverbal.
But there are many times when we communicate non-verbally by looking at one another, making facial expressions.
So during class, we focus on things like doing different voices, making different sounds, doing facial expression, doing gestures,
Can you put a sound to that? Help her out. What you see that motion? What sound is that? Uh-oh. I was thinking this. Roar. Okay. The cows and the pigs. What was your sound? So you stand over there too. You stand over there.
We try not to just limit ourselves to like one means of expression, because we have a whole umbrella of expressions that we as human beings are capable of using.
There's a healing power in theater, whether you're a professional or an amateur just doing it for fun. I believe that there's so many benefits and skills, it gives you serious life skills, confidence building, speaking boldly in front of people, eye contact, interacting with people.
Well, the folks that we're working with here helps those folks who are a little older now and maybe ready to go into the job market, helps them to acquire the social skills necessary to work. In fact, there is one individual who, when he started with me, was at home. He had finished school and he was just taking random classes here and there. He's actually gotten a job now.
So I'm Bob's longest, I guess you could say, student with this. I've been with him for about five-ish years with him. I graduated out of high school. We met him through one of my old therapists, and he's told us about the group he had, and I was one of his first students he had in the group. And pretty much from there, it's been a growing experience since. He's helped me with a lot of social social situations and talking more even to the point to where I'm able to now independently go to a job and work and stuff like that.
They're very shy. They say, well, I'm very anxious in large crowds or even public speaking. And then they get up there in front of the class and they're doing amazing. Like,
Amy, does this look turn around so that Amy can see? Amy, is that heroic?
Well, maybe he's like a bird man.
He's pushing people away. Go ahead, Amy.
Okay, top it. I
Yeah.
am paddleboarding.
Paddleboarding, good one, top that.
like they're so funny, they're energetic, they're confident, they're so creative. So I think it helps them tremendously.
I see room for improv to help people younger with their academics and older with the creation of improved job skills so that they can, obtain a better life.
Just Bob has been so helpful, and I really am grateful for him.
So the young man who you'll be speaking to next is named Andrew, and he's a former student of ours from the Communication Sciences and Disorders in the master's degree program. He has a bachelor's degree in exercise science, and we accepted him into the program based on his good grades.
I struggled in the clinic, and one of my biggest weaknesses was something called behavioral management. That's actually one of the skills that you can be rated on.
I didn't learn until later on that he's actually on the spectrum. In our program, it's like essentially the first couple of semesters you are in the classroom, and then after that you go into our speech and hearing clinic and you work with people in therapy under supervision. That's how you learn to become a speech language pathologist.
When they give you your final report card, I asked one of them, is there anything you can do to help that may help turn this stuff around in the future, since what I've been doing is not working? One said, you can become a para in a school, which is the other name for it.
He's been joining me in these improv classes, and we've had an opportunity to really get to know one another through improv and just through conversations. At one point, I learned that he was interested in maybe getting a job, and to just jump to the conclusion, he's now working at a school for kids on the spectrum as a teacher assistant. And from what I understand, he's actually doing very well there.
After some time off, I started applying for jobs. Dr. Domingo knows the administrators at the place where I work at now, and so that ultimately led to me getting the job there. I've completed 3 weeks. We just went to White Post Farm on a trip yesterday. It's a very sobering experience, if I'm being honest with you. Yeah, but definitely feel like I'm in the right place.
They really exceed my expectations.
He's demonstrating improved social skills because he's now working with kids who are on the spectrum, but who are not as high functioning as he is. So it's kind of like, in my view, it's kind of a success story.
Can you put that camera on me? Good. Listen, it's never a good idea to judge a book by its cover, or write people off before you get the chance to see them in action. So just something you want to consider.
Don't judge a book by its cover, because you never know. Maybe just because someone has a disability doesn't mean they can't do what you can do.